Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is December 5th, 2020, and this is the Flight Sim News. So, starting off with Foxtrot Oscar Simulation Designs. It looks like these guys finally have an update on their Hawker Hunter that they're creating for DCS. Here's a few of the images that they've posted. Nothing super exciting. Kind of the same thing that Razbam does. Hey, here's a little bit of something that we're right in the middle of. Check it out. And that's about it for that. So I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. Next up is something that I just thought would be of interest, and I never knew about this. So a guy on one of the Facebook groups that I follow, the Chair Force, had posted this, and it is a NATF-22 Sea Raptor. I guess this was a project at one time. That looks absolutely amazing. It's too bad this never happened, because that would have been sick. An F-22 with sweep wings? Like, wow, right? Pretty freaking cool looking. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. Alright, next up is Razbam. And yet they have another tiny tease for us. It says, we continue to add upon and improve our projects. 3D scanning real AV-8B HOTAS today. We're fortunate enough to get these on loan so we can add them to the AV-8B NA. And really, it's just, here's a picture of the reel, and then here are the 3D scans we've made. I think it'll be really cool once they release something again. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual. Alright, good friend of the channel, Ian Christie, is at it again with another awesome video. This time out, it's the SU-25T, the real DCS gateway drug. First Impressions Part 2.
Hello, YouTube Sidekick here with the second promised installment of our First Impressions video of the SU-25. Today we're looking at the T model, which is the one that comes free with the DCS download, so most of you have probably had a little look inside the cockpit. If you go back and look at the SU-25A model First Impressions video, you'll see that there are already immediately differences that are apparent. The first of all is that we have a HUD, which we don't in the original model of the SU-25. The second is that honestly the cockpit is a bit more crowded. So both of these stem from the same effect, which was that the SU-25T was actually a B model, which was the two-seater model, that was upgraded to include a bunch of avionics where the second crew member used to sit. The net effect of this was an aircraft that was quite a bit heavier than the A model, but did have a much more modern and sophisticated avionics set. So today we'll take a look at what differences that really makes to the aircraft. In straight level flight, it's really not much of a handful, but you do feel like when you are making aggressive maneuvers, particularly aggressive maneuvers at the low end of the speed range, that lack of power makes it feel a little bit sluggish, I think would be a good way to put it. Having as much effect as you kind of expect it to without also adding power to the engine. So I'd say that's kind of the combined effect of what's going on.
As usual, it's another quality video from Ian. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. Next up is the DCS Weekend News Update from Eagle Dynamics. Dear fighter pilots, partners, and friends, we hope that you will enjoy our new forum engine and that it will significantly improve communication quality and access to resources. Thank you in advance for bearing with us whilst we fix any persisting concerns and bugs. They're actively working on the GBU-24 laser-guided bomb as well as the AGM-84K Slammer land attack missile. In addition to these new weapons, we're also finalizing advanced modes for the Harm and Harpoon for the Hornet. We would also like to take this opportunity to share our progress on new 3D modern era assets that will be added to the DCS World Core. And then they go on to show a picture of a Spitfire and mention that forum posts and searching indexes have been at last rebuilt. However, it's possible some content still does not display as intended, and we apologize for this inconvenience. Please note that the YouTube links will not work in the new engine. And then the F/A-18C Hornet development progress. They go on to talk about that GBU-24, the AGM-84K Slammer, and then what they're doing for the Harm and the Harpoon. And then they go on to start another header called Tin Shield in progress, the ST-68U. They're currently finalizing the Mobile 3-coordinate radar station. The unit was designed to detect and track low-altitude targets in active and passive interference in the presence of intense reflections from the ground and in adverse weather conditions. It is in service with many CIS countries and former Warsaw Pact countries. Next up is the BTR-82 progress. This is a seriously updated BTR-80 model. The armored personnel carrier is equipped with the 30mm 2A72 cannon and has been realized with the troop compartment. BTR-82A is actively used in Syria during patrols by military police. Thanks again for all of your passion and support. And that is it for the weekend update. Not a lot to talk about this week. I'd like to know what's going on with the Hind. Where is that at, you know? But the good news is the Kiowa is right around the corner, even though it's been delayed. So we have that much to look forward to, at least. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. All right, and next up is another update from Virpil Controls. It looks like it says, today we're incredibly excited to announce our VPC Mongoose T-50 CM3 throttle. How many throttles are these guys gonna release? It seems like, you know, I'd feel bad for the guy that bought the last one, because it seems like every one is just a little bit better than the last one. Then it goes to talk about the throttle includes the following detent sets. Classic detents, lift to pass detents, push to return. Classic plus detents, lift to pass detents, push to return, but with additional tactical bump immediately after crossing the detent range. Warthog type detents, lift to pass and lift to return. Aerobatic detents, push through and push return. And Cosmosim detents, push through central detent. Each detent can also be further adjusted by positioning them at different points in the throttle axis range, so you can tailor the response to match your needs. Then it goes on to say the new throttle features the same ergonomic CM2 throttle handles loaded with inputs, but now includes a redesigned lever locking mechanism. Further changes include lengthened throttle levers, which now provide a greater range of motion, resulting in increased precision. There's also additional clearance to access the button panel when the throttle levels are in idle position. Throttle axis mechanism has also been improved and strengthened. And it goes on to say it is now available for pre-order from our worldwide website for €369.95. It sounds like about $400 US. I haven't done the conversion yet. And it goes on to say the first batch of CM3 throttles are estimated to dispatch at the end of January 2021. And then, ta-da! There are the pictures of the new throttle. Again, it looks just like the last one. I would really like to get my hands on this thing, but I just cannot see shelling out $400, man. This is the only thing I could see that I would really like to get my hands on other than my TWCS from Thrustmaster. But you know what? The TWCS works great. I just like the idea of having all the extra fancy, you know, light up buttons, dials, and levers. But it is one that's on my radar. Maybe one of these days, guys. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. Alright, devlog 267 from 1C Game Studios. Hello everybody, many of you ask us how development of the recently announced mobile AAA is going. The physical model of a wheeled vehicle is nearly complete, while a visual model of the Soviet GAZMM with 72 KAA gun being developed by our partners at Digital Forms has made good progress. You can see the attention to detail in these screenshots. It's really a labor of love. You may wonder how fast the German half-track chassis can be developed, since it's partly wheeled and partly tracked, but in our engine, the player-controllable vehicles have a sophisticated model structure where a combination of various propulsion types is possible. We plan to start the implementation of the German AAA half-track truck soon. On the other hand, the AA gun sights are a new thing, but we hope to make them as functional as tank crew artillery sights. Meanwhile, we're working on updating all existing aircraft in the sim with new visual models of the crew. All the fighters were given new pilot models where it was possible to do in a universal way previously, and now we're adding new models to planes where unique adjustments are required. In the coming update, you'll get the new pilot model for the P-39L-1. More detailed pilot appearance aside, this also means that the American or British pilot will be displayed if the P-39 is set to one of the countries in the mission file. Also, our friend Martin ICDP Catney has created an additional RAF skin for this plane. Another of the many questions we got recently after showing the video of the new terrain effect on vehicles is how the new detailed terrain roughness will affect aircraft outside the prepared airfields when making an emergency landing, for instance, or taking off from a field, which is an even more difficult task naturally. We think the best answer would be another short video, which we'll look at in a second. But first up, let's take a look at those screenshots. So here are the new work-in-progress models for the ground vehicles we're going to be able to man. Cool looking gun. And then some of the new pilot models. Outstanding stuff. Lastly, here's the video they posted. U2 vs Rough Terrain Touch and Go. Nice effect, and wow, is that loud compared to the regular audio. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. And last but not least is this lone image that was posted on the IL-2 Sturmovik Great Battles Facebook page. And it says, more information on the way soon. IL-2 Sturmovik Flying Circus II. That is fantastic news, because I thought Flying Circus 1 was a hit, and I thought it did very well, and it's super fun, and they addressed the concerns that people had with it. So I'm really curious to see what these guys have going on with the next iteration and part of the Flying Circus stable of products that they're working on. Definitely good news for everybody. So, as always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit that like button. And until next time, guys.